Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm a little bit blonder. I got some balayage finally. I hadn't gotten my hair done in a year, but that's why I love balayage, because you can go that long and not do your hair. Blonder, more pimples, that's what's new. Today we're doing like a cold glow type of makeup, which is kind of just going to be like, I'm going to make it a little bit more cool tone. It's going to be really fresh skin. That sort of, you just came out of like a snowstorm. Not a snowstorm. You were just in the snow, you're a little cold, you're flushed. Just very pretty flush skin with like a light shimmery eye. That's the vibe we're going for. But it's also going to be a little bit chatty. I have some health updates, just other random stuff. I feel like these videos are always a little bit more fun when it's just chatty and makeup, like a nice combo of the two. So let's just start with some skin prep. There's also a sprinkling of new products in here, so I'll give you some mini reviews. One of those is this new skincare product from Merit Beauty. There's a hair on it. This is the Great Skin Instant Glow Serum. So this is their first skincare product. I am missing a nail. Oh well. First skincare product, it's a glowy serum. I thought this would be an exfoliating serum because usually glowy serums are exfoliating serums, but I was surprised this one isn't, but I'm glad so I can use that a lot more often. So you massage 2 to 3 pumps onto skin before moisturizer. It's sort of like a bi-phase formula, so there's these 2 separate layers and you want to make sure that you shake it up really well. I have been testing this out and I don't like this applicator for the formula because it's a liquid, so it kind of just like squirts out and it's really hard to not spill. Like I already spilled it. I feel like a dropper would have been a much better idea for this kind of formula, but I do really love how this feels on my skin. It is very refreshing and hydrating feeling, but it doesn't dry sticky and it goes very well under makeup, which is some of my biggest criteria for a serum. Use it morning, night. I haven't noticed like a huge difference in my skin because I'm like hormonally breaking out right now, but I was using the Hero Cosmetics pimple pen on them, which is new. I did a video on it and I've been using it on these 3 and it helps really just like clear up your pimples super quickly, but it does dry them out a little bit, so I've been trying to like, you know, get life back to them while they are healing. And to add some glowiness to the base, I'm gonna use the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. I don't really feel like I need a moisturizer with this serum if I'm using like this kind of product, because this is really moisturizing and so is this product. If you have dry skin though, I would definitely recommend doing some moisturizer. And I'm just gonna hit some high points of the face. So I do think the e.l.f. dupe for this is a dupe. Like formula wise, it looks just as pretty, but the e.l.f. shade range, the lightest one is like really orange on me. So I still just grabbed this one more because the shade works better. I wish e.l.f. like what is up with that light shade range? It's just weird. I'm going to avoid the pimple area though, that's for sure. Don't want to highlight that. I forgot how much I like this. I had not used it in a while. This like little sideburn hair just wants to stick to my face. For foundation, I thought I'd use the Charlotte's Beautiful Skin Foundation. This is not my favorite. It does not wear well, but it has this very luminous, pretty coverage, and this is the shade 1 Neutral. The majority of my foundations I have actually don't match me because I just always bought for my self-tan shade, but now that I didn't even self-tan in the summer and I definitely don't in the winter, I only have like a couple of foundations that are my shade. This being one of them. This one's still a tiny bit dark, but it definitely works. If you have foundation recommendations, let me know. I love the Bite Beauty one, but you know that's just discontinued, so I'm gonna eventually have to find a new formula. So I might repurchase the Ilia True Skin. I haven't used that in a while, but I did used to really enjoy that. I just really like something that's lightweight and does not accentuate texture. That's what's great about the Bite Beauty one. Usually like water-based foundations I feel like do very well with my skin. I'm trying to think of where I left off. If you have not seen my first health video, well, it was actually my second one, but I hadn't done one in a really long time. I will link it. It was just like a general update. So in actually that last video in the comments, I was talking about my hypermobility and actually specifically in my shoulders. A couple of you had commented asking if I had been evaluated or like looked into EDS, which yes, when I made that video, I was in the process of like getting that moving. So I have like a couple doctors that I see. I have a primary care provider that's like a medical doctor, which I rarely go to, really only if I need a referral, who's covered by my insurance. And then I have like my main naturopathic doctor who mainly focuses on my digestive issues and my mast cell issues. And then I also started seeing a new doctor who is also a naturopath, but she specializes in like hypermobility disorders, and she was really familiar with that. I have to pay for these naturopathic appointments, by the way, but I feel like getting these things done in like the medical, I don't know, what would you call it? They're all medical doctors, like traditional medical doctor community. Just like going to, you know, a doctor that's covered by my insurance. It takes so long to get these things done that I'd rather just pay like the money and get them done in 1 to 2 appointments. It all depends on you and what you feel like works best for you, but the communication in like a medical doctor type of scenario is, it like never feels, I don't know the word to describe it, like I don't ever feel like there's the space to actually communicate. It's kind of just like first appointment with your symptoms, and then they just like keep sending you for tests. But with my naturopath doctors, it's way more of like putting it all together instead of just focusing on like one symptoms, because it's really frustrating. I have like a lot of different specialists that I see, but I do feel like a lot of my symptoms are connected, but then they just send you to another specialist, and it's like, well, it doesn't seem like that's working for me. That's just my instinct, what I feel better doing. And I just feel like I get things accomplished that I want to get accomplished a lot quicker. Like if I'm looking for a specific test, it just gets done a lot quicker. Not all naturopathic doctors are good, by the way. I had first one I started seeing who was actually covered by my insurance. I saw her for like quite a while, but like she was just very unhelpful. Like my issues, I guess, were just past her level of expertise. It was just like we hit this standstill point, and I was like you're not helping me anymore. So I finally found my new naturopathic doctor who I absolutely love. Like she just has gotten me like so much further, new medications that have really helped me, and she's the bomb. So I had the new Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Concealer to try out, but it is missing in action. I don't know where it is. I'll try to find it for my next video. So instead, I'm just going to use my Jouer High Coverage Concealer, per usual. Probably should have put on some corrector, but that's all right. So it's gonna be for my under eyes, and then for my blemishes, I really like the Honest Beauty one. I like to let this sit for the most coverage. A little bit on my cheeks too. So I kind of just rambled for a really long time about doctors. But the point I was getting to about EDS is, yes, I did finally. I just sent in my genetic test, which evaluates for EDS. It can't pick up hypermobile EDS on a genetic test though, which is most likely the type that I would have, but it's kind of just like to rule other things out. So before you do that, you do this, like, I think it's the Brighton scale. It's a test to measure hypermobility and like other EDS related things. So I believe you need like a 5 or above, and I think my score was a 4. They measure your hypermobility in a couple different joints, but not all of your joints. So my knees ended up being hypermobile, my elbows are not. I know that my shoulders are, but that's not on the test. And I asked the doctor, and she just says she's not sure why that's not on like the scale. It might be because the certain joints that they test are more likely to be EDS other than something else. My back is hypermobile, that was on the test. I know my hips are for sure as well, but that was one that wasn't tested. That's why I asked, because I was one below like threshold score, because I know my shoulders and hips are also hypermobile. They also tested my wrists, which it doesn't really affect my wrists at all. And there was just other questions about like being flexible when you were younger, which I was. Are you like double jointed? Which I do have this in my thumbs. But anyway, all in all, my doctor thought it was still smart to do the genetic testing. Also something I had to pay for out of pocket because my insurance did not cover that. So I'm waiting on those results. I just sent them in though. I also have to get another. So I did initial ANA blood test, which is the anti-nuclear antibody, I believe, which kind of tests for autoimmune disease. Mine was positive, which is not automatically mean you have an autoimmune disease. You could be perfectly healthy and just have that. But mine was like unspecified, so I have to go back to test to see if my levels have raised or not. So that's something I have to do. Again, it doesn't like automatically mean you have an autoimmune condition. It just was something that we should follow up on. So I'm waiting for that as well. Also starting a new SIBO protocol because I still have SIBO, like it's been years. I've tried actually everything multiple times, but we're doing like a weird combination of things. This guy is very pesky, but I will show you a trick with powder foundation a little bit later on for things like this that will not be covered with concealer. But onto like the cold glow portion of this, I'm going to recommend a blush. This would be for any skin tone. A blush that is similar to your like skin's saturation level. Since I'm very fair, I choose something that's very pastel or something that's very close to your natural flush. Or if you feel like you don't have a lot of natural flush, something that is that similar opacity. So if you have darker skin, you're gonna want something with some more pigment. Also choose something that is similar to your skin's undertone. I am like neutral olive cool, so I choose something that's like a pastel cool pink. This Han Cosmetics blush is perfect. If you do have a warmer undertone skin, use something that's a bit warmer because you just want it to look the most natural, and that's going to give you this sort of like your own flush effect. It's really important. You want it to look natural and like it's your own skin. So we're going to do like a layered blush approach. The first one I'm going to use is this Youthforia. This is a color changing blush, so this would work for a lot of different skin tones. It looks green at first. It is a liquid, and then I'm just going to swipe it on. I'm gonna do a little bit on the nose, which I don't usually do, but for that extra like cold look, it's a really like good placement for blush for that effect. And then I just like to blend this out with my sponge. I am keeping it on the upper portion of my cheeks, almost like blending it into my eye socket, but like not quite. And this formula looks super duper natural on the skin. I'm gonna do a tiny bit more, and we will be adding more blush later, but this is going to be our base glowiness. I am also going to layer another cream blush, a lot of blush layering in this video, the Bubble Blush from Persona. This is more of like a punchy, pigmented type of pink. Also very cool toned, and I'm just going to amp up the pigment because when I set with powder, it is going to take away a little bit of the pigment. So I just want to make sure there's a good base down. To set, I'll just be using the Vapor Beauty Perfecting Powder in the loose formula. So I'm just going to start setting my under eyes. Really natural looking powder. And back on topic, yep, starting new SIBO protocol. I will let you know how that goes. I have to order the stuff for it, but it's going to be, it's another herbal based one, which I don't tolerate very well. I don't tolerate the antibiotics very well either. I don't really tolerate any form of treatment for it because my stomach just gets so freaking like painful. So I have to get like peppermint, which is supposed to help with like your stomach cramping, which is what happens when I'm just getting like die-off symptoms. That and Pepto, like Pepto pills, which I've actually never taken. So I'm supposed to start with that, and then I'm doing a neem plus blend because I don't tolerate the oregano very well. I've tried the liquid form, I've tried like the solid capsules. But once I'm on that, that's supposed to help like soothe my gut while I'm doing the neem. And then we're gonna add in the oregano again just to see if that does help. And then if it doesn't, obviously we're just gonna stop. So that definitely sounds very interesting. I'm interested to see how it goes. My stomach is like not too crazy at the moment. It tolerates, I just feel like I've figured out what it tolerates a lot better. I still can't eat like a ton of things, but it's not nearly as bad as it once was. Doing my brows with the NYX Micro Brow in Taupe. Other than the SIBO stuff, the EDS test, the ANA test, not much else I'm doing. I just did like a couple new supplements which have been helping. Oh, I also forgot, I didn't even talk about this yet. The POTS test that I got done, I got that done quite a while ago. I did a community post on it if you guys wanted me to talk about it, and I think a lot of you did. So it's called a tilt table test, which is really like weird to explain. I feel like just Googling it is the easiest. But anyway, you're basically on this table and they test your blood pressure and like these other measurements of your body, and they tilt you like into a standing position and just see like your heart rate and your blood pressure, all that stuff. And if it's past a certain threshold is usually when you get diagnosed with POTS. I was like really scared for the actual like tilt table test, but they do a couple other things before that, which I didn't think were gonna be that bad, but were actually like the worst parts of it for me. They were just like these breathing tests where you have to breathe for like a certain amount of time, like exhale. And I've never felt so close to passing out, which I've never passed out. Some people with POTS do pass out a lot, which I never have, but like I felt very, very close to doing so. And you go there on an empty stomach in the morning. I didn't have Zyrtec, so I just like generally felt like shit too. But anyway, I did not get diagnosed with POTS. I just barely missed like the cutoff for the diagnosis. I think it was like a certain number and I was like 2 beats below that for my height and weight. So my vitals were elevated above a normal amount than it should be. So I do have some issues there, but it wasn't enough to get the POTS diagnosis, which, you know, I'm glad I don't have POTS, but I'm still trying to figure out why I have those similar symptoms. But it might be EDS, which could explain a lot of that, could explain that, could explain my digestive issues, could explain my whole life basically. We will see. Yeah, that test like really sucked. But if you're worried about actually like the tilt table test portion of it, unless you like passed out a lot, it really was not that bad. That was like the easiest part, and it was at the end. I forgot to set the rest of my face, so I'm just doing that right now. I'm gonna leave this like upper portion unset because we have a cream highlight to use. I keep thinking I'm done with the medical stuff and then I think of something else. I did also have 2 more tests that I got done. I just had a short period of time where I was doing like a ton of tests. I'm going in with this Haley's Resculpt Smoothing Contour Powder. This is new and it is really good. It's such a beautiful shade. This is the light shade. Perfect tone. It's not quite as cool toned as I would like, but it's still very natural looking and it's matte and smooth. It does not accentuate texture. And I just like to take like a tiny little like dome shaped brush like this. These are my favorite for contour. I like to brush off the excess so we're not getting too crazy. So if you watched my last health update video, you will know that all of my other issues also have difficulty swallowing, which I explained in that video more. But I got a modified barium swallow and a barium swallow. So the modified one is to look at like the upper portion of your swallowing, and then the regular one is like your whole esophagus into your stomach, which was also normal, but I did that in the morning and it's really interesting because my difficulty swallowing is like way worse as the day goes on, which is why it seems like, they said it seems more like neuromuscular. But that, the barium stuff was so freaking disgusting. Also something you have to do on an empty stomach, which I never feel good on anyway. And then they just give you like these different textures with barium, which is the white contrast stuff that makes your throat and everything show up on the x-ray. So it's just this like pure white stuff, and like it's artificially flavored, like obviously to cover up a taste. And it tastes so nasty, like really, really sweet, like bubble gum. So it was like a liquid form, a pudding form, and then it was mixed with oatmeal. It was so disgusting. And they only give you like a little bit of water, and I was just like, during it, I was like, oh my god, like I'll need to rinse my mouth so bad. And then you're also on like a table that like tilts back, and then you do like all these, like you do a freaking 360 on the table. Seriously, they were like, I was laying on my back and they were like, turn all the way around and then lay on your back. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know if that's for the substance to like coat your esophagus, but it was like very weird. That was for the regular one, not for the modified. The modified was like much easier because you're just sitting there with it with the speech pathologist, and they have you swallow a barium pill. And they also make you chew an Alka-Seltzer with no water. Literally just chew it and swallow it and then try not to burp. I don't know what the point of that is, but it was like just the most disgusting things. But I am glad I got that over with because I needed it forever and I just kept putting it off. But it was normal, and now they want me to do this other test. I forget the name of it, but it's where they put the tube down your throat and then while you're awake, and then they measure your esophageal muscles while you like drink and eat. I don't think you eat, I think you just drink stuff. But for a little bit of glow, I'm going in with the Kiko Milano. This is the Baked Bronzer in Oh Honey, which is a super pretty glowy bronzer on the sheer side, just to get that really glowy cheek look. And then this is where more blush comes in, the Han Cosmetics Baby Pink Blush. This is one of my favorite pink blushes. I would never pick this. It looks so basic, it looks so boring. But once it's on my face, it just looks like, my natural flush, which I love. So I'm just taking a Bare Minerals. This is the Flat Taper Powder Brush, which is a bit more dense because this is more sheer. And I'm really packing this on. And I just love, love, love how light this is. If you have fair skin, cool fair skin, please try this out. But this is kind of what you want for your own skin tone and depth. See, mine is like very similar to my depth of skin. It's very light, it's pastel, not very pigmented. And I can just layer a ton of it up. Especially on the nose, if you are doing nose blush, you want to make sure that it's something that looks natural, and I wouldn't recommend something that is super shimmery either for that. For my highlight, I'm going to be blending these two shades. This is the Dior Glow Palette. I'm going to use Blush and Strobe, which is the white and the pink, on this Bodyography fan brush. These are a little bit more dramatic than like a regular highlight I would use. I was going to use a cream highlight. I pulled out the Westman Atelier one, which is really pretty and has like a cool toned shade, which would be great for this look, but I didn't want to like disrupt the powdered look, so you could definitely use powder. And we're gonna set with setting spray to like bring the glow back. But I'm gonna put this on the high points, but also blending into the blush to give it more of that glowy look, and a lot on my nose as well. I'm gonna use mostly the white shade for that so we don't deepen that. I do really love these formulas. I wish they made a palette with like, this was white pink and then they had like a purple and maybe like a pale bluish green, because these shades, like, I just never use them. Only for eyeshadow I've used like the champagne and this one, but I feel like they should have like a more than like a couple, like a fair, a light, a medium, a deep, a dark, like with all these different just beautiful tones of highlights, because they are pretty, but I just don't find myself using the other two. Unless you're a makeup artist, which then this is obviously useful because you can use different skin tones. For mist, I'm gonna use the Pixie Glow Mist, which is like an OG mist. This has like basically an oil type substance in it, which will make you very, very glowy. Like if you wanna fully melt your powder and add like a layer of glow, this is go-to if you have oily skin or you don't want like glowiness added, you just want your makeup like melted. I wouldn't go for this, but I only have a little bit left, so I'm gonna use quite a lot. Like when I do setting spray, I like to fully coat my face because it just melts your powder away, and then I just fan it with this Trixie Cosmetics mirror. It just melts your makeup in and makes everything look so natural and pretty. And with this mist, I do usually go over it with a sponge once it's dry. You don't want to do it now because it's going to pick up your makeup. But as you can tell, it just like brings the glow back to the face, but you can still use powders and stuff, which is really good if you have like more oily skin like I do. While it's drying down, I'm going back into the Haley's contour with this fluffy brush. I'm just going to use this to sculpt the eyes as well. One of my favorite tricks is just use your contour for an eyeshadow. Also, if you do a nose contour and you connect it up here, it's going to make it look extra like snatched and natural. And because contours are a little bit more sheer than eyeshadows, it's going to look more natural too because of that. I forgot to set my brows, so I'm going to do that quickly with this iconic London brow gel. I also think like a softer, more pushed up slash bushy brow looks really good with this look. Like a windblown eyebrow. My eyebrows would not look like this if they were windblown, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not doing a ton of eyeshadow for this look, keeping it just like natural and defined. I'm gonna take a little bit of this is the Colourpop That's Taupe palette, which I've been loving lately. This Python shade, which is like a muted pink, just to add a little bit of like a pink hue to the outer corner. Man, I do really love the look of the new Makeup by Mario palette. but the price and the fact that I already own this palette, I don't know. I'd really be in love with that because I heard a couple of like, there's a lot of like topper shades, but I don't know. If you bought that, let me know what you think of it. Or if you really want me to try it, I will, of course, but I already have that other Neutral Makeup by Mario palette, so I don't know. I'm a little bit torn on it. I'm just taking that same shade very slightly on my lower half of my lash line. So I pulled out this Play Beauty Play Date All Over Color Stick, which you can use on your face or your eyes, and this is just like the pure white shimmery shade. So I'm actually gonna do this right on like the tip of my nose, blend that out with my finger. Okay, would not recommend putting that over powder. It just like clung on to some skin texture I had. But I'm gonna take this on the inner corner. I like these, but I feel like they lose a lot of the shimmer when you blend them out. I don't know. It's kind of just for a little bit of brightness. For the lid, I'm gonna be using this beautiful Colourpop Super Shock shade in Ice Dream. This is a white blue. Again, you don't have to use cool tones if you have warmer or neutral skin, like a warm champagne or gold or deep bronze. Something that's gonna look harmonious with your skin is gonna look best. I'm gonna use my finger for this and then just tap it on, because the vibe we're going for is like a little bit ethereal. And you wanna look like it's kind of like your own inner glow. And if you're using shades that are opposite of your undertone, it's not gonna look as harmonious or natural. And I'm only doing a little bit of that. I just want the like essence of the glow, not a lot of texture or obviousness. For my inner corner, the NYX Whipped Cream, which is my favorite matte white shadow. And then I just like to really brighten up my inner corners. And then I also will end up popping this on my brow bone. I kind of want the Play Beauty stick to achieve this, but since it didn't, going in with backup. Going back into the Colourpop palette, I'm taking this Cool Stone Matte Brown. This is going to be our smoky liner. I'm starting this on the outer corner, not even going halfway because we're using a different liner for that. And then I just like to flick it out and then blend it. I want this to be very soft. If you have more like defined sharp features, definitely feel free to do like a regular winged eyeliner if you feel like that defines your features a little bit more, or things that are more contrasting. But since I'm like round and soft, like I like to keep my makeup soft because it looks, again, more harmonious on me and less like makeup. And we just play around or do like whatever you like to wear because it's makeup. Do whatever you want. We just want the essence. We just want a whisper of a liner. And then I like to take a flat brush like this and it just like cleans up the bottom of it. Super easy. And then this is like my secret trick. I use this even with everyday makeup. Use a shimmery eyeliner on that like inner half of your eye, and it just makes your eyes like twinkle and pop. So for this look, I'm using a silver. This is the Make Beauty Continuum Waterproof Gel Eyeliner. These are amazing. They come in so many beautiful shades, and this silver is really pretty. It's like a bluish silver shade. The NYX gel, what are they called? The NYX Epic Stick Liners are also one of my absolute favorites if you want a drugstore option. They also have a huge range of shimmer colors. Extra tip, if you use one that's complementary to your eye color, it's gonna make your eyes really pop. Or one that is similar to your eye color will also sort of do the same thing. So if I had like a warm tone look, that would make my eyes pop. But since I'm doing like adjacent colors, I'm using like a silver, and my eyes are blue, so it's adjacent. They're both cool tones. And then I just draw this on the inner portion of my eye. I just love the way it looks, and it's so easy but so effective. I also ran it on a little bit on my waterline, but I also like smudged it on the actual lash line. I'm not sure if you'd be able to see the effect like on camera, but in person, like it really does make like a big difference just to have this like glow. You want to look ethereal, twinkling, like snow glow vibes. Not snow glow, actually snow glow vibes as well. Lash curler. This is from Plume. I am like addicted to this one now. It has this weird shape, which it was really weird to use at first, but now that I've been using it, I tried a different one and I was like, what the heck? Like, this one is so much better. I think it just gives you like a nice amount of control. For mascara, I'm using my Maybelline True Brown Sky High Mascara. While my mistakes are drying, my little pimple coverage tip, powder foundation, small little dense brush. This is the Pure Foundation in LG6. Get some product on there, tap it off, and then all you want to do is just tap it over the blemish. And sometimes just with blemishes, liquids, because of the way they're raised or the skin, they just want to slip off and not stick. This is a really good trick because powder just stays where you put it and it'll give you more even coverage. See how we just covered that up? This also helps not get the area super cakey because you're using a small brush and just concentrating it right on the pimple versus like putting a bunch of concealer in the area, which we already did, but just do that in the first place. It'll be good. For lip liner, I'm gonna use my Taupe Lime Crime dupe, which is the Sephora gel liner in the shade The Nudist. And I'm just gonna do like a slight overline. This again is an area you want to customize your shade. Whatever shade, nude lip, like if you like a warm, cool, or neutral undertone, go with that. This is like a definitely cool tone. They always look way better on me. And for lip color, this Fit Glow Beauty Dahlia Lip Color Serum. These are thebomb.com. This shade, I was like, that's gonna be so bright. But for this look, this very cool tone berry, when you sheer it out, oh, they're so moisturizing, which is just the best in this drier weather because my lips just dry right out. This with like a nice lip liner is stunning. Definitely not the most long lasting. I feel like the Pixie Glow Mist helps this look so much if you don't want to use a ton of cream products. It just adds so much glow to the face. We built the layers of blush to give us that blushy blush look. The camera washes things out a little bit, like I have a lot of blush on, and I think the nose, like I never used to like nose blush, but in the right shade I think it looks really pretty with this like sort of icy glowy eye. Again, use whatever shades you feel like go really well with you, and I wanted to keep things natural and wearable. A little bit of a trendy look but still wearable, which I just love to do on my channel. I want you to be able to like wear these looks and still feel pretty and not feel like overdone, because sometimes I feel like I just like a very certain amount of makeup, and too much makeup I just don't like the way I feel in it. It's all up to you, obviously. If you like more makeup, cool. You could obviously do this like a little bit more dramatic for the nighttime too, but I love how the skin came out. I love the little eyeliner trick, such a good one. I'd love to know in the comments below if you ended up buying anything from the Sephora VIB sale. Let me know below. I did like an anti-haul of it. I did not buy anything this year, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm kind of holding out for better sales like on the Detox Market, Credo Beauty, so many other great sites. I'd love to chat with you below, and I hope you try this look out. Before you go, make sure you subscribed and like this video and click on this video for more content from me so we can hang out a little bit longer. But I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.